The biggest thing that I see is this balance of like short term to longer term incentives when you think about post sales. And I'm curious to get your perspective on like how do you think about the KPIs and the metrics that are longer term, more tied to customer actual outcomes that are harder to measure in customer success than are not necessarily relevant in the new business realm.
Well, I think there's a couple things. One is I think that you have sort of seen some of this in how customer success has evolved in the last few years, where you see, CEOs, especially as we sort of went through the last bump where people were like, we moved from growth at all costs to profitability is actually important, which is, I think, great.
Yep.
But I think that customer success was a casualty of that because it was like very hard to tie some outcomes, right? And kind of why I talk about alignment with revenue to really help with that. One way that you can tie them together is really focus on multi-year. The prior organization is that really pushed me to the limits. The extent to which the CEO wanted to incent long-term planning with customers, just from a compensation standpoint. But he was right. Like, I mean, I worked for a lot of smart people, and I would say that put that team just at a whole other level. But ensuring that the whole organization is focused on like how do we create long-term relationships. I think that also comes back to things that are within RevOps influence, but out of our control, which is like, what does the product evolution look like? Every organization is answering the question of like, what are you doing with AI? And also, what if the team that is using your tool is now greatly reduced because of AI?
Yep.
Right? Like a lot of companies are navigating like, okay, what does that mean? And so being able to really lock in with customers and talk about like, what does that journey look like into the future? Here's how your organization will be future proofed by how we're going to serve you. And, contractual commitments can happen. Like I think you see an increasing volume of what I'd call like ramp deals where customers are committing to that. Like, hey, I'm not ready to do all of this change now, but over the next 3 years, here's how I see our relationship evolving. I think tying those incentives between sales and success are really important. In terms of some of the non-tangible things, right? Like there is so much that you can try to quantify. Like, what if that customer gives you 4 referrals? What if they give you 3 pieces of marketing content? What if they, speak at this many events, right? I guess that ties into marketing, but all of those things together of like, what is our relationship like? And everybody talks about when you get to the C suite, but it's like, I think that's more important now more than ever, right?
Yeah.
You read about declines or growth for companies, just like I'm aligning to my executives, how is our team making sure that we are aligned to what their customers' executives' visions are? And how does this impact that, right? It's like you can tie any tool to what a company is doing just by doing the chain. It's hard, but you can do it.